and welcome back to the Netrunner 2024 World Championships. My name is Neuropantser, he, him. I'm joined by...
Cranks, what up? He, him.
And
Juniper, she, her.
Fantastic. This is a great team. I'm glad to have you both here with me. We did just finish round one. We're about to go into round two. Cranks, can you remind me, what is the schedule like today? What do we have going for the rest of the day?
Yeah, so the schedule for today, we're going to be doing 11 rounds of single-sided Swiss. So this tournament software, formerly known as Cobra.ai, now it's tournament.nullsignal.games, whatever. 11 rounds of single-sided Swiss. The software is going to pick what side you play, so you'll play exactly one game per round. The software will try to keep the sides even, so that people aren't playing, 10 games of Corp and one game as runner. That won't happen. It should be as even as it possibly should be. As far as there's actually going to be 14 rounds of Swiss total. If you have 21 prestige points at the end of the day today, you will be qualified for day 2, and you will play 3 more rounds of Swiss tomorrow on Sunday, and then before we cut to a top 16.
And what are points again? So 21 points is...
Yes, that's 7 wins. A win is 3 prestige points. So 7 wins should lock you for day 2. Obviously, you want to get as many points as you can because it just makes your standing even higher and your likelihood of hitting top 16 even greater. But 7 points is the bare minimum, or 7 wins, excuse me, is the bare minimum number of wins you would need to get to those extra 3 rounds of Swiss on Sunday.
And that's just for the first today, the 11 rounds.
Yes,
so
11
getting
rounds.
the top cut is obviously going to be a lot harder.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I'd like to talk about this. So what does day 2 look like?
So day 2 is going to be 3 additional rounds of single-sided Swiss, so that we can further pair down. And then after those 3 rounds of single-sided Swiss, we'll pair down to a top 16, and there will be a double elimination bracket that will eventually determine the world champion for the year.
I'm down.
Exciting stuff.
I'm excited to see it. So we talked a little bit before the event about what we thought was going to be in the field. Now that we've actually seen the field, now that Cobra has all of the factions and IDs available, how does that line up to what we thought?
We talked a little bit about Panic PD, and we're seeing it. We're seeing about
people are panicking.
28 people, whether in Panic or otherwise, have opted to select Precision Design Hospiroid as their corporation ID. We saw it last round, and we saw PD do PD things. Textbook, right?
It was a great example of just like the most obvious possible time. All right, looks like we're getting started.
We are here to hand off to our round 2 team, so enjoy round 2.
Same matchup I had in round 1.
Same what?
Same matchup as round 1.
Okay, all right, well, I hate that.
Thank you.
And welcome back to the 2024 Netrunner World Championship here in San Francisco. I am Josh, a.k.a. Orbital Tangent. I'm joined by one of my other co-hosts.
Hey, I'm Eric from Neon Static. We have 2 very accomplished players sitting at the table here. This is super exciting. We have analyzechris, he, him on the left, playing Aginfusion, and RotomAppliance, he, him on the right, playing LAT. RotomAppliance is both these players are renowned for being fantastic at this game.
Yeah, absolutely. RotomAppliance, a noted actual world champion, a former world champion, not the current reigning world champion, that is Sokka, but RotomAppliance quite accomplished. And analyzechris, known for their orthogonal styles, often being called the Architect.
The Architect, such an intimidating name. We saw what looks like a keep from Chris. So this, I assume, is going to be a Glacier Aginfusion deck, probably similar to what we've seen from Sokka this last competitive season. There's going to be a lot of ice. There's going to be things like biovaults and border controls and anything that says end the run. So I think Chris is going to, this makes a lot of sense. Putting 2 ice on that, central servers, and what was the hedge fund? Hedge fund. Okay.
Yeah.
Hedge fund, classic start.
Yeah, classic start, hedge fund, ice, and also going down to 3 cards in hand against LAT. Now, LAT can hit that, but LAT, classically on the first turn, doesn't really want to go super low, kind of wants to draw up. But we may see Rotom try to get that lat draw. It's a very important part of the deck.
We saw it. We saw 2 installs,
Yep.
click for 2 credits, and get a lat draw. So
Yep.
SMC and a fermenter cooking very early is going to feel pretty good for Rotom. We'll
Yeah.
see if Chris has room in his slots-hungry deck for Mavirus. I know that Ag players often struggle finding slots for even a simple
absolutely.
thing as Mavirus, even though it doesn't cost any influence in the faction.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a slots-intensive deck because you do have to play more of that ice because you're trashing a lot of it.
Yep, you go through ice pretty hungrily if there are a lot of runs happening. Now, Chris might be able to sit back and enjoy some luxury if Rotom does a lot of setting up and less running, and it's hard to face check into any kind of Jinteki deck early for fear of things like Anansi's, which are live now. Anansi's an 8 credit ice
Absolutely.
to res, and we've got plenty. We have 13 on Chris's side. Saisentan is a really nasty early
Absolutely.
check.
Yeah, and sentries are really good in the meta right now, so they do cost you lots to break. So Lat may have to play it cool just to avoid that spider and just to avoid that Saisentan, yeah.
Not sure. Oh, so we do actually see Chris very kindly splaying his hand with a 5 counter there just for us to know what Rotom is going to be shooting for lat draws, which is
Excellent, yep.
going to be pretty critical. I think we see an agenda in hand. Kind of hard to tell. It's going to be hard to see like peak hands, especially you can see RotomAppliance plays it pretty close to the chest. So we're definitely not going to see too much from Rotom, I think. Chris is actually hanging out a bit. We get to see some more.
So we're seeing a remote come down, and we're seeing a Hansai.
Yep. Usually, an ideal pitch here is a subliminal messaging, which this deck often will be running in order to exactly to do this. Hansei Review. It is hard for the runner to be running all the time, and so you'll probably get it back in hand at some point.
Absolutely. What do we think is in that remote?
Uniced. It's hard to say.
Anabotic Void?
It could just be a spin to make you run. A void unprotected would be a little surprised because it's very cheap to trash.
Yeah, very cheap to trash, but you also could duck the lat draw if you were to end the run and eat up potentially 2 clicks.
True. Yeah. It's a little. It's tough to say what that is. What are the? I mean, it could be as simple Mavirus, right? If it's a Mavirus, you're happy to have it on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Have the runner waste a click and then also purge their fermenter.
Could be a very cheeky Rashida. That would be a surprising push, I think. Draw on 4 here.
Yeah, so we're not seeing RotomAppliance take
a
the
spin.
bait. It's a spin. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Oh, the nice spins from the first CBI.
To deny lat draw.
To deny your lat draw.
Drew
Yep.
up to 6.
Yep.
That was intelligent play from Chris.
Yep. You want to try to deny as many of those draws as possible. They really start to build up over the game, and that drip draw is just crushing for the corp if you cannot get on top of it.
It adds up in a big way, and that specifically, the spin draw gets fired at the end of the runner's turn before the end step where lat gets applied. So
Absolutely.
since you can trigger at any time.
So we're seeing a new remote.
What are we looking at, Jan, here? A Charlotte? Cooking a Charlotte would be very good. That is a popular include here. Not clicking to install. Also, a Lacosta grid is an upgrade that will most definitely be finding its way into a remote server. Just to cook agendas and add. If you get a Charlotte and Lacosta working together, you're getting passive income that is just going to be really hard to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. You can sort of battle that tempo that Lat is getting with that passive income. I believe we have 1 click remaining on analyzechris'
Yeah.
side, and we're seeing a double install of that remote.
Okay. That would make sense to me. This reads Lacosta and a Charlotte because it's not installed. But otherwise, it could just be analytics, like you said, and defensive things.
So we're seeing Fermenter click up to 4. Rotom just letting that thing cook.
You got a telework contract.
Yep, getting all the money down.
Nice to be able to get some money without making runs. Rotom hasn't made a run yet in the game. Just doing a lot of setup. Going to be ready to take down whatever needs to be dealt with. Having the SMC on board and Anacam installed is huge. Even more lat draw. Now I think we're going to start seeing the events fly pretty shortly.
We just saw a huge setup turn there, though, with Simulchip coming down, Anacam, telework.
Trashing Rashida. and drawing 3, gaining 3 credits, and then getting your mandatory draw. That's a lot of forward tempo. It's really good for the Corp to fire off Rashida early.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably a defensive upgrade there in the remote would be my prediction, but unknown at this point.
There's a number of things that are going to want to get put in there.
Yep. We're going double install on the remote again, and then another ice.
What are you worried about from the Corp side here?
So you probably don't want to be Bernard.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to be Bernard, especially after you've drawn a lot with Rashida, as you've probably drawn a lot of your key pieces. And Burner is now one of those ways that Shapers are getting those cards out of hand and to the Shadow Realm at the bottom of the deck.
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen too many burners in like Sokka's archetypal lat list, and we'll see. Well, this is definitely not Sokka's archetypal lat list because we see a cleaver installed on the board, and that is not a breaker that Sokka's list that he's been making very popular is a lot of disposable breakers like propellers and oilers and things like that, revolver. So this is a little different.
We're seeing Rotom just cook here. We're just seeing a lot of building and clicking up of credits.
So a fermenter pop.
Yeah. With the fermenter pop too, I believe there was also a telework pull there as well. So really building up the money. Classically, in an older Netrunner, back in the far gone days, the wisdom was if the Corp is building, you're building. So you don't really need to run unless they're trying to threaten a score. I wonder if that is the calculus here for RotomAppliance.
Right. You, as Chris, I think, are really interested in trying to score an early Nisei Mark II so that you have access to the power counter on that agenda to let you end runs at will. We saw a run on R&D, Braun getting rezzed.
Yep.
Great ice to have on R&D here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a trick shot. If this is successful, then we're going to see an access of 2 cards, and then we will also see Rotom able to run another server. So this is another way to overwhelm the Aginfusion player, as you can only use that ability once per turn, and you have to be very selective about where you're going to trash that ice.
Right, and with the cleaver down and a trick shot, there's, Rotom's getting in here.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing, and it's all for a turbine.
Yep.
Okay, so this is like a turbine cleaver, probably a buzzsaw, kind of standard rig, echelon, potentially, instead of the more disposable breakers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got through 2 credits on the trick shot we were waiting for. There you go. And then we see 2.
Bacterial.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
That's a big early steal.
Now, that is going to allow analyzechris to sculpt the top of the deck and the hand, though. So that's not really an agenda that you want to see first.
No. Because you're not getting a second agenda here on this dig.
Absolutely, you're not.
Right. Chris is going to make sure that the next card that gets accessed is something that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Chris is going to be able to just set up the next couple of draws so that this glacier can get even bigger.
I'm so bad at this. I'm super bad at this. When you, there's a lot of skill involved in planning your next several turns and then remembering everything on here. Note taking is allowed in Netrunner. I wouldn't be shocked if Chris takes notes on what's in order here, but and are we seeing it? Yes, we see a notepad coming out because that is like something that if you don't do, I didn't not write anything down.
Oh, no.
I don't know, maybe waiting for a pencil or something. But this is hard to remember over the next several turns.
So I'll just remember.
Yeah, I immediately figure as soon as I put them back down, it's like I never even
Yeah.
saw the cards.
Nothing goes to hand.
I do believe analyzechris might be waiting for a writing utensil, although we haven't heard a judge call from either player. Otherwise,
Oh, no, they went down.
okay.
And just access to Hansei review.
Okay, yep. analyzechris setting up 4 additional credits over the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, and the trick shot then still has some money to pressure the remote here or take down the spin doctor. I would imagine at least running the spin is probably a useful thing.
Yeah, I would say if nothing else, if Rotom does not feel comfortable going after that remote currently, probably going for that spin doctor is the move we are going to see next.
We waiting.
I believe, though, on trick shot, the additional run is a May. Or
Okay.
is it required?
It is May. It ends the run. After that, you may make a run on the remote server. So we did see the run on the remote, and a Tattoo Bola being rezzed is pretty nice for Chris. Going to gain some credits.
So that is a risky challenge on the remote. Although you do have the symbol chips, so you can get back your SMCs to go grab a breaker. Although, depending on what breakers you have, you are getting a little bit low on credits here. So if it's something really nasty on the top, you may only be able to break that first ice and then have to jack out.
This is very useful for the Aginfusion player to put whatever they want on this server here and kind of sculpt the board state. It's great early. It stops. It gets you some forward momentum, and then you get to put you.
I believe we're seeing an MIC there.
Yeah.
So MIC allows you to trash it sort of like border control, except it only ends the run when the runner does not have any clicks remaining.
Right, but I think we're going to fire this here. Oh, no, we're using a simul chip probably to get another SMC on the board. See, we saw a simul chip pop using the credits off of the trick shot.
Yep.
I think just verbally said yes to get the SMC, and then we saw the two credits. Yep, there we go. Thank you, Chris. Yep.
So Turbine is going to do a lot of work here. There are a lot of high strength ice.
Euler.
Yep, and Euler also coming down. I believe that breaks 4 free when it comes out. The turn that is
with
installed.
a turbine is quite good because it costs to pump the strength. You know, it's two credits to one for strength, and normally 2 credits to break two code gate subs. But on the term it's installed, it's just 0. So.
Yeah, and so with Turbine, this is a base strength 4.
Yeah, and Mick is 4 as well, so that just breaks it for free. Yeah.
So Lacosta, not a defensive.
It's the Lacosta grid. That's cost 4 to trash. That would take Rotom to 0.
It would.
You don't want to do that. But also having Lacosta grid in the server is rough. Oh, going to 0 credits. That does not feel good as a runner.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, but Rotom does have the telework credits here, so can burst up to 3 at least. Still not quite where you want to be.
Right. Yeah, and we haven't seen any creative commissions yet, and there probably are those in the deck. So you telework, you creative commission at the end of your turn, you're back up. And it did disarm this server to some extent.
So there were programs trashed this turn. So Rotom is actually cooking a fermenter for free, getting that out of the bin. Using that last simul chip, though, which is a little bit risky, not having the full rig online.
Right. We've seen 2, so it's potentially 1 more in the deck, but the easy access ones, it makes sense here to get access to bounce back from this low credit state.
Yeah, absolutely. You also have lines of attack here. You know what is rezzed on R&D. You're probably not going to be able to check that for a while because of that bacterial, but you know that you can get through, at least for now.
Yep. You install in the remote. We advance it. This looks like a Charlotte to me. Or it could be that then there's a scoring window potentially here, and that is an early Nisei.
Yeah, it could be an early Nisei. It could also be a BioVault cooking. So if you can get that BioVault online, then you can try to cook whatever you want because you can open your own scoring windows.
BioVault's a funny card that what is it? When you have 2 advancement counters, trash 2 hosted advancement counters and end the run. Thank you.
Yep. Notably, you can also end the run on any other server. So it's not just the server that BioVault is in.
Yeah, that's pretty flexible and useful.
Yeah, a great card in a Lacosta deck. Very, very flexible.
You seen clicking for credits? The telework got trashed there.
Yep, so clearing out the telework, yep. Yeah, we're seeing another build turn from Rotom.
It was the Nisei. That is a great thing for Chris to have in his back pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to make the pushes through that remote server a lot easier. And at that point, Rotom may have to pivot to trying to win off of Centrals. Although with that bacterial score early, again, analyzechris is set up to very, very well control the tempo of the game.
It seems like you don't want to lose a 5-3, but getting to sculpt the shape of the game for several turns to come is really powerful.
Very powerful, very powerful.
Especially when you can hold it all in your mind, like Chris seems to be able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing that fermenter tick up to 3. We're seeing Rotom think.
Like 2 turns later, and I think Rotom's on 11 credits. That was a very fast bounce back from 0.
Absolutely.
Really hard to do otherwise. The tools that were available. Oh, we saw Sure Gamble. That's how we got back up so high.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it was telework, a lot of clicking for credits, and then a Sure Gamble.
See a lot of draw. Diesel. So Diesel with an Anacam will draw you 4 cards. I think that the Anacam had already been played, though. And there's an Echelon. Okay. So we do have the full rig. I'm curious to see if the Oiler is the permanent code gate solution, the decoder, or if it is meant to be kind of a stopgap.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a no free lunch as a tech card.
No free lunch.
Lat has a hard time dealing with tags. So this makes a lot of sense to see in this deck. I haven't seen it before played, but I haven't seen no free lunch since I've started playing Startup. So that's kind of exciting to see.
Yeah, interesting. Although R plus being a lot of the field, it does make a lot of sense.
There are so many R plus today.
Yep.
It's shocking to me. Okay, so we saw Hansei install advance.
Yep, so we're seeing another advance here, basically telling RotomAppliance you won't.
You won't, and if it's another Nisei, it's miserable for Rotom here.
Absolutely. He will, at that point, probably just have to try to win off Centrals.
Right, and even then, when it matters, well, HQ, I guess, if there's a likelihood of a impactful steal from HQ, then Chris just gets to say no.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if there's a burner that comes out.
Okay, trick shot.
Yep, so we're seeing that Centrals plan, I think, come to fruition here.
All right, get to see 2. We see a Rashida.
Yep.
Cost 1's to trash.
This has to be a must trash.
We see a trash, yeah. It's sort of, I guess it depends. And that
Thimble Rig
is a Thimble Rig. It's
Yep.
a very cool alternate Thimble Rig.
Yeah, that's actually a Worlds promo from way back in the day. I think 2021. Not way back in the day.
Yeah,
A couple years.
we're good.
Yeah, and then we're challenging the remote again.
Another Brawn. Brawn, Mick. That is a strong setup for ice that you have to run through. It's a gauntlet.
Yeah, so what we may see here is waiting for RotomAppliance to spend all of the credits, and then either a pop of the Nisei or a pop of the MIC if another Nisei can be scored on the back of that.
You'd hate to lose the Mick because it's costing now at least 1, 2, 3, 4 credits to break with Oiler.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a Charlotte. And just going to pop, that was a pretty good bait. It was one of the lines, but you definitely can't leave. That's the thing about Charlotte. You can't let it sit there.
Yeah.
Because you get, unlike an NGO front where if you installed and advanced it, it's just 5 credits. You don't need to worry about it. Charlotte's a threat if you leave it there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That passive income is just as bad for the runner as the lat draw is for the corp. Rotom is not down and out, though. We are seeing a fermenter over there cooking on 4. And that will be 5 next turn.
Do you think we see a purge?
We may see a purge, yeah.
Chris is watching Rotom's board state like a hawk. Okay, we see the mandatory draw. We would see a snap purge, I think, if it's going to happen. Nope, we're pushing.
Yeah, we're pushing.
On 6 credits on this side and representing 8 plus 6, that's, we 14 potentially just off the gate, 1 click in. So is draw, install, and click for credit, I think, from Chris?
Yeah, it looks like it. So that fermenter is ticking up to 5. No purge. We're seeing Rotom go in the tank.
How do you win here as Rotom? Because, while Rotom is up on points right now, it's getting pretty grim. We haven't even seen the Aginfusion boop at all so far. But
no, we haven't.
The board state is getting to be pretty intimidating.
So how much does that remote cost to run?
The Brawn on... don't ask me to do math on stream. What is a cleaver? Is boost, it's 5, so it needs to be boosted once, so it's 1, 2, or is it 3 to boost? I don't remember. Yeah, if we can get a pull up, I should know this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 credits. It is 3, 2 for 1, so it's base 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to break the Brawn, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we are seeing the fermenter prop. Yep.
So it should be 8 credits to run through that server.
Okay, so there would be 16 credits to get through. So yeah, analyzechris is feeling pretty safe with that Nisei counter then.
Right.
Yeah.
Fermenter pop is, that Fermenter has been a key player in Rotom's deck so far.
Yeah, really keeping Rotom in the game here.
Doing that math, I missed the DJ Steve coming down. Now being able to apply a lot of pressure on HQ
Yep.
Going to 0 credits on Chris's side to
We're
res a
seeing an ice I
Bodo.
don't recognize.
It's a Bodo.
Bodo.
Yeah, it's a new ice out of this last set. We are not on threat 4 yet, so it is not 6 strength.
We're not at
But once, basically, one more agenda gets scored or stolen, then that'll be a 6 strength ice with 3 nasty subs, do 2 net damage, and then you can trash a card from HQ to end the run, and it can just shut you down because it's. Now, what does that cost to break?
Oh, you're asking me to do math now?
It's 4 right now. It is a barrier. I think it is just 2 credits with Cleaver because that is base 4 with the turbine. Base 5.
Base 5, yep.
Yeah, but at threat 6, it will be more expensive. Threat 4.
Yep.
This is my worst nightmare. Don't ask me to do math on breaking credits
wow.
on stream.
Well, I'll try to refrain from that in the future. But we're seeing the Steve come up. It is a selection of a trick shot or a trick shot.
And we saw a Tattoo Bolo in hand, which we knew was there from an earlier swap.
Yep.
Trick shot or trick shot? It's a tough call.
Yeah, I would have gone for the one on the right.
Yeah, it's clearly superior. World's best Steve joke. Okay. Chris started turn with resing and popping Rashida.
Yep.
Another forward momentum, bringing back from 0 credits that made a lot of sense to have it in the server.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so Chris is looking really low on credits. That server is still looking very secure, though.
Jamming again.
And wow, it's just a jam. Yeah,
That's another Charlotte, right?
it's got to be.
Yeah. It reads as a Charlotte, and with especially with the bravery to install paying a credit for an ice that you without the Charlotte can't res.
You can actually just boop into the remote, though.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. And hitting a Brawn works really well in Aginfusion because of that first subroutine that allows you to install a piece of ice behind it, which is so much better in Aginfusion because you don't care what it is. You put it behind it, they have to break the Brawn, and then you go boop with Ag, and they have to do it again. So it's a really good, it makes a lot of sense to me in this deck.
So we're seeing the crack there.
This is Charlotte.
Yep.
Is this a run on HQ? Yes. That is a Sadaka?
Yeah.
That is cool. That is some tech from
I haven't seen
last
that
year's
card
World.
in a while.
Yeah. Look at the top 3 cards of R&D and either arrange them in any order or shuffle R&D, and then you may draw 1 card. And impactfully here, you can trash a card in HQ to trash a resource, which in this case is going to be the DJ Steve.
Yeah.
It's the only resource on the board.
It looks like RotomAppliance doesn't have a way to break that.
Yeah. Well, you can't. It's a trap.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have AI.
AI breakers.
Yeah.
So that feels good. That was a fun little interaction. Sadaka, cool.
Yeah, I mean, that is wiping out a lot of value for Rotom.
Yes. A Saisentan.
Yeah. You're not really scared of that yet. There's not enough credits for that to get installed, but you are seeing some additional ice that Ag can put down to try to do your boops.
Okay, we're trick shotting, so we're running R&D. And let's see what got put there. We're booping.
Yep.
Booping into HQ. Into the Bodo.
I believe this is telegraphing that there's not really anything in HQ.
Yeah, you don't care. You're going to see that probably a Tattoo Bola again. We know HQ right now is at least Bodo, or sorry, Saisentan and Tattoo Bola.
Yeah.
And there's some other card, unless I missed one we've been tracking.
Yeah. We do have another fermenter on RotomAppliance's board.
Third fermenter.
Yeah. I missed when that one came down.
Me too.
So.
There's a lot going on. Popping a Spin Doctor. So this was probably running the spin because we haven't seen that popped. And so agendas that don't want to be scored, and there must be some at this point, have been able to cook in archives because it's just been Rashida, Charlotte. Nothing besides that initial Nisei that got scored. So
yeah.
The famous divide by 5 rule tells us there's got to be maybe less than 1 in 5 agendas in this deck, maybe a little bit less because there's plenty of 5/3s. But
we're seeing an install and then just credit.
what does the Ice Suite look like in this deck? There's at least 1 or 2 bacterials. I don't know if there's any send messages in here that would probably be very helpful. We know that there's some Niseis, 2, maybe 3 Niseis.
Yeah, I think the deck might be on the full complement of Niseis, although I can't say for sure.
And it's interesting, maybe there's been some last minute swaps of certain things. Although the agenda suite, I feel like it's probably one of the more stable things. So we see 2 Thimble Rigs in archives that got revealed and a 3rd card I missed.
Yeah, so it looks like that was a run on archives and a no res.
Tattoo Bola.
Yeah.
So if there is a we see the hand a little bit there. Do we see another Tattoo Bola for a swap? Tattoo Bola into Tattoo Bola is pretty nice to just generate some income here. Oh, man. Bacterial Programming, Fuji Asset Retrieval, Nissan Mark II, and Off-World Office seem to be what the cards in hand were. I think, so that was Rotom saying, I will end the run, instead of allowing... I'm sorry. Miscommunication there. That what I just said was the agenda suite of the deck. So end the run from Rotom, I think, to make the Tattoo Bola not be able to allow Chris to get back off of credits.
Although, notably, the top of the deck is fresh now because of that Spin Doctor.
How did we get to 3 credits? I missed that. Or 4.
It looks like it... Well,
Was it
he
just
had
advance
one.
events? Or, I mean, credit?
He had one, and I believe he just clicked for 3 credits.
Yeah, click for 3.
Yeah.
The Fermenter now again on 4.
Wheels.
And a Wheels. It's going to help with just clicks for running remotes here.
Yep.
And
that remote is not looking secure now with that Fermenter ticking up to 4 and ticking up to 5 the next turn.
right. On the turn that a Wheels gets fired to run a remote server, if it's not just used for extra clicks, it is possible to use the Nisei counter to give the runner a tag, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
I imagine... Does this signal that this is a deep dive deck? If the Wheels is in there? We didn't see a DJ Sable, though.
Yeah.
In that case, I would imagine a DJ Sable if this is a deep dive deck to give you extra clicks when you're running your
I think it
your
might
centrals.
just be in there as a tech card against other matchups.
Yeah. But installing it here is just going to give you, potentially just on a turn, you just pop it to get an extra click if you need it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Banking the click for later.
We're seeing analyzechris actually defend archives.
I don't know. Well, yeah, that seems like it might be deep dive respect, but again, we didn't see the DJ Sable. Chris might know something we don't.
Yeah, I mean,
Double,
it could be Wheels
double
alone.
icing archives, not just single, right? That's, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, deep dive for the win with Wheels? Possibly.
Chris, RotomAppliance having a strong think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. This board state getting more complex by the minute.
Did Fermenter get popped and reloaded, or did it get purged?
I'm not sure.
Missed it. 10 minutes left in round.
So both players really low on points here. If the round does go to time and neither player scores more points, RotomAppliance will be the winner, and it won't be a timed win, as those don't exist anymore under NSG. Timed wins are just full wins.
Chris, clicking for 2, it looks like, and installing a card in the remote server. No 3 2s or 3 1s in this deck, so it is unlikely that we're just going to see a score next turn. No fast advance. Yeah.
Yeah, at least none that we've seen yet. We are seeing RotomAppliance on a large bank of credits here, so getting into that remote is not impossible. We are seeing a trick shot, though.
25 credits before the trick shot. That's a lot of money.
Yep.
Trick shot through a single Brawn, paying 4, I think. Swapping the Bodo and doing it very, very officially, putting the card on the table, not bringing it back to hand before you do it, and revealing 2 cards. We see...
Nothing.
I couldn't recognize. And now bringing the remote.
Yeah, challenging that remote.
Paying through the Brawn, paying through the Mick, and accessing Tranquility? Not Tranquility. Lacoste? It's a spin.
Spin.
Not choosing to res the spin.
Yeah, no res.
So don't want the card draw. Huh. Maybe Chris is feeling like HQ is weak and doesn't want to open the possibility of drawing an agenda that might get stolen.
Rotom is just leaving it, choosing not to trash despite being on a mountain of credits here.
Yeah.
That's an interesting decision. We'll see how that works out over the course of the next couple turns.
Bold play.
Yeah, absolutely.
See how it plays out. Resing and a Nancy and a Tattoo Bola on archives.
Yeah, that is not what you want to see as RotomAppliance.
So
But it was going to come up at some point anyway.
But this seems like a deep dive now, right? Because it was R&D into the remote and then HQ. Or do we see an HQ run?
No, we didn't see an HQ run there.
Yeah.
It is possible that we could still see one, though.
I guess at the very least, Chris is respecting Deep Dive very, very well. Spin Doctor now getting res. When it's safe to draw, and you do see drawing a bacterial. Hansei Review pitching something.
Yeah, I believe the decline to res on that immediately was to avoid the lat draw.
Oh, yes, very good.
Yep.
And then we know an upgrade went in because the spin did not get trashed. So that is
Yep.
either a Biovault or a Lacosta Grid, most likely.
Yep. So Chris probably setting up to try to score that bacterial in the last couple of moments here, securing that remote and trying to get things cooking, especially since Rotom is actively spending credits. That remote may be quite a bit more expensive now.
You can see the players speeding up a little bit. We saw Chris glancing at the clock, 6-minute 45 roughly in left and round. And our clock, we should note, is maybe 10 seconds off of the official timer, so we might see some discrepancies there. Yeah, Chris has to work to get something scored here to avoid losing on time.
So the Nisei counter was used to end the run at some point, so that is no longer active.
Popping the spin, so we're installing something. No, this is just maybe before turn to draw.
That deck is looking mighty thin.
Yeah. Oh no, we see a Fujii.
Maybe looking for something to score.
Okay, so I think this might be mandatory. Yeah, that was seeding something in the deck to hope to draw here. Pre-turn install. Another ice, paying 3. Okay, on 9 credits.
And we should
And
just
click
take
for
another credit.
Yeah.
It's possible that one of those is Tattoo Bola.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, how are you staying liquid?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's probably just like Tattoo Bola into Tattoo Bola. But that is it's a push.
That is a mountain of credits, and we are seeing Fermenter on a huge number again.
So if this is another Nisei, it gets scored next turn. Because
absolutely.
that's probably
Border control.
Lacosta Grid. Oh, Border Control is a good install. Very good here. There's the Tattoo.
Bola. Yep. So we're seeing multiple things that could be popped here to try to secure the remote. Possibly running RotomAppliance out of clicks.
Yeah, I don't know what click this is because we're not tracking clicks in this game. We see a Dirty Laundry on HQ. I think just bounced there to deny credits again on the Tattoo Bola.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do we see? I looked away. Never look away.
Oh, yeah, I missed it there too, but it was nothing to be scored.
Okay, popping a Fermenter again.
Yeah,
again.
for 10 credits.
This is maybe the 4th time that Fermenter has been popped,
Yeah,
if not the 5th.
Just on a mountain of credits here.
Yeah. 42, I think, credits. There's nothing you can't get through besides border controls.
We're seeing a third.
Install advance. There is the agenda.
That's either the agenda or that is the Biovault.
Oh, it could be a Biovault, yeah.
Yep.
So setting up for another turn, so you got to get through a border control, you got to get through a Biovault. You potentially have to get through the MIC, right? You have a lot of ways to turn that run into nopes. Anoetic, right? If
And
that's,
a lot of credits, yep.
Yeah.
And that Tattoo Bola does have to fire if you want to get through this remote.
Yeah.
So, it's going to give back some of those credits.
Wait, is Chris on 0?
It does look like Chris is on 0.
Oh, res the Tattoo Bola, temporary. This is a run in Archives. So there's the Tattoo Bola. Running Archives. Going through an Anansi to run Archives. It just screams Deep Dive. So another Tattoo Bola swap. Tattoo Bolas are like the backbone of this deck's economy right now.
Absolutely.
Have we seen an Ag Boop?
No, we really have not.
That's a Charlotte. Trashing the Charlotte, saying you may not have any more money. And it's a Biovault.
Wow.
Yep, just ending the run on HQ, I think, to deny.
Yeah, it looks like
deep
this
dive.
may be a deep dive, yeah.
It was an attempt.
It looks like this may be a deep dive deck, yeah.
We have the Hannah. Yeah, they were popping the Hannah. Getting the, yep. And we go, this is going to be a deep dive, plain deep dive. Let's see what we get. First access HQ, just to make sure.
Yeah, deep dive.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness!
Oh, it
all
looks
of
like
the
that's the
agendas
game.
that with. Well, how
Do
many
we have
clicks
an
do we
extra
left?
click?
1 or 2. On 2 minutes left, 2.5. We're going to take. Not the Fujii. I'm sorry, not the bacterial. The Fujii taking some net damage. Only 1 click, so up now on 6 points. How does Chris get above that?
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
No, that deck was all agendas. That deck did not feed Chris agendas at any point during the game. I think this one is lost unless we see something absolutely amazing happen here.
The possibility even to just cheeky score a Fujii and somehow kill flatline Rotom here doesn't really exist because the stone chip is on the table. Sprinting here, Chris is desperately trying to find an answer. This is a difficult position to be in.
We're seeing a jam in the remote.
Playing has to play very fast here to get any points across the table.
Still, even if that's a Nisei, it's not enough.
Lightning fast turns. It does look pretty grim for Chris, but it's possible that he. Let's see. He would have to score. I mean, he has to score another Nisei and then a 5-3.
This might just be a cheeky try to score off of either HQ or R&D. Okay.
That deep dive was so juicy.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense on why Chris at no point during this game was really pushing anything and just throwing.
Just couldn't find him.
Kind of garbage in that remote. Yeah.
If you remember early in the round, I'm saying, how does Rotom win this game?
Yeah,
and the answer is sit back and make $1 billion.
Yep. Yeah, we saw Rotom doing that basically very consistently, very assuredly, just sitting back while the corp was not pushing, just building up.
We saw an ag boop. We've ag booped into the border control, into the remote to deny another deep dive. You do not get to run my archives. You have to run through this Anansi again on 13 credits, which is doable. This rig is very strong. And Euler is the permanent solution here. So we booped. We have a single advanced card in the remote. That has to be a Nisei. And we've got 19 seconds left in round. If Chris can somehow, I don't see how this happens, but if Chris can somehow get the turn back, all right, we're running R&D, Saisentan res. It's just not going to happen. Chris is going to have 1 turn left. That's time and round right there. And just shaking, saying, there's no way I can do this. Yeah. Wow, what a game. And what a swing, I think, from Rotom, looking to me like he was in the back seat a little bit, just going the economy that you need to generate to overcome this deck, and that fermenter just did so much work.
You know, another bit of classic wisdom from Netrunner back in the day was the only point that matters is that 7th point, though. So classically, Shaper, it looks like what it's doing, what it did back in the day, where it sits back, it lets you do what you're going to do, builds up, and then just wins the game out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were seeing. We were seeing Rotom focus and really only put down the pressure that he needed to, and then just continue to build up other than those trick shots. So the trick shots were just applying enough pressure to keep analyzechris off balance, and then we were seeing Rotom go, okay, you're off balance now. I'm going to use the rest of my clicks and the rest of my time to go ahead and build up so I can get an overwhelming advantage to close out the rest of the game.
Okay. So I think we're going to cut to the couch here and have a little discussion between rounds, and then we'll be back for round 3 shortly.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. You've been watching the Netrunner 2024 World Championship, and we will see you later. Our other casters are going to be talking to you soon.
See you soon.
welcome back to the Netrunner 2024 World Championships here in San Francisco. Craig, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. We just saw a wild one. Went right down to the wire. I know Orbs said that the only point that mattered sometimes is the 7th one. In that case, not so much. The only point that mattered was that 6th one.
That's true. Very true.
Got him
fantastic
on a
game, though. Yeah, fantastic game.
Awesome game. Awesome game. Just a perfect example of the kind of just really nail-biting game you'll get at a tournament like Worlds.
Absolutely, yeah. When you have absolute top-level play, people giving their all, bringing their best possible deck, putting the most prep in that they do in the entire year. It really does make Worlds special. We'll get back to that in just a second, but just a reminder for people at home, that was the end of round 2 that you just saw. Round 2 is wrapping up. Time is called in the round, so they are getting round 3 paired as we speak, and that will be up here shortly. There are 11 rounds today, and then 3 more rounds of Swiss tomorrow, followed by the top 16. So we are getting into the thick of things. Going to start probably being able to talk about interesting stories of who's at the top, what factions are doing the best so far in another round or two. But before then, Cranks, both you and I have been to a number of World Championships at this point.
I just masked it out. This is my 6th one.
There we go.
Worlds.
6th Worlds, yeah. So I did want to talk about, you brought up, Worlds really is kind of a special event. It has its own real aura, honestly, I would say. Can you think of, like, what do you think is your top Worlds moment that you've seen?
There's a lot of them that I could go to. I'll go on a more personal note. 2018. Magnum opus or fake news worlds to some individuals, to the old heads out there. I was part of a testing house for that world. Shout outs to Auntie. And we had just really just busted our chops, just working on decks, trying to figure out what the best decks were. And watching one of my teammates take it home, King Joe, still King Joe to me, watching one of my close teammates who had been working towards a Worlds win for so long, had that on his docket for about as long as he possibly could have. Watching him take that final game over Chris Dyer was awesome. And at the time, it felt so much bigger because NSG was just a kind of a pipe dream at that moment. We didn't know it would turn out to. We didn't think we'd be filling, know, this entire meeting space in, this very fancy hotel in San Francisco. It was very much a question mark of like, would Netrunner be here next year? Period. And so there was a certain sense of finality associated with that Worlds win. And so watching one of my teammates take it home was everything.
Yeah,
what about you?
I remember that very distinctly. That was a really fun Worlds to watch. I mean, Joe just had such a surgical precision in his play that weekend, honestly.
He's a butcher.
Yeah.
He's a butcher. When he turns it on, he will pick you apart in ways that you didn't think you could get picked apart in.
Yeah. But yeah, you asked me what's my top Worlds moment, and honestly, that is really difficult. I think, man, that's tough. I think for me, it is getting to watch getting to actually be in the booth for the Toronto Worlds Finals.
Oh yeah,
those were, that entire top cut just had so many storylines going into it. I think in some ways I didn't realize at the time exactly how special it was. It took talking to Sokka afterwards when we actually interviewed Sokka and learned a little bit about how bad Sokka thought some of the matchups were, where it was like, well, yeah, if it went to a Game 2 in Grand Finals, that's it. GG, I'm done.
Yeah, that was a fun Worlds. I think that was one of the best examples of the kind of the talk of the quiet terror that was going around.
Yeah.
The terror of Toronto was that Aginfusion deck really abusing the interaction between Trieste Bottle Bioroids and Loki. People were. Man. I had heard rumblings of this during Crown of Servers or King of Servers the day before, where it's like, watch out, there's this rogue Aginfusion deck that's just beating people senseless. And I remember talking to you about like, what could it possibly be doing? And you were like, Trieste? No, that's too goofy.
There's no way. Yeah.
And then you were 100% justified. It was Trieste.
A complete accidental called shot. I had no idea the interaction between it and Loki. I had not spotted that.
But this is what happens. Worlds. This always happens at Worlds, where there's always these decks that kind of become the stuff of whispers.
Yeah.
Even back in 2017, people were whispering about this Rogue Potential Unleashed deck, which turned out to be potatoes as we know it now. This just very I'm going to say glacially slow, but not in a glacier sense. It really did. I mean, it was a prison deck in the truest sense of the word. They flipped that ID in front of you with the buzzsaw. They put the potato on top of it, and you were in jail. You remember, you read Watchmen, right?
Yeah.
They were not trapped in there with you. You were trapped in there with PU.
Yeah.
And so I remember just that also, that deck also being something like, you got to, hey, there's the PU.
You certainly ask not to have that as your first game as well.
Yeah,
in a double-sided Swiss
exactly.
format, yeah.
Very rarely was click for 3 credits for about 8 or 9 turns in a row the canonically correct decision.
But it often was in that deck.
There was
like
the
that
PU ID
deck
on screen for the viewers at home. They don't make them like that anymore, folks. They don't
for
make them
good
like
reason.
that. Yeah.
Very quickly banned after that tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. But the things that happen at Worlds, the stories that come up, the decks that get built,
the combos that suddenly see the light of day and completely take over.
This is the stuff that people are going to be, that people continue to talk about. I mean, what we were just talking about stuff that happened in 2017, 2018. It's 2024. We're very far removed from that, and yet we still speak fondly of it. That's what Worlds is about. It's all about the stories.
And I wouldn't be shocked to see some of that this weekend.
I think
honestly.
so. I think so. Absolutely. It's just a matter of time until we get those kind of wild happenings on stream. I'm sure we're going to get.
People are brewing, right? I mean, just yesterday when we were playing in Crown of Servers, I played against. Do you remember the card Mache?
I do now because of that game.
Yeah, so I played against a Freedom who dropped a Mache. Mache is a console.
It's not a console, it's hardware.
Oh, right. It's just a hardware.
It's just a hardware.
Man, it's just a hardware. So yeah, you get to when you trash things, you place power counters equal to the trash cost, and you use those power counters to draw cards. Incredible in Freedom.
Oh yeah,
because you are not paying the printed trash cost almost any of the time.
Real sweet.
So, people are out there brewing. People are finding these cards. They are bringing them into the decks where they work the best. And they are making the most out of it. Like it is an extremely exciting time to play Netrunner right now.
Yeah, we talked about it in our intro before round 1. The meta is just wide open right now.
Yeah,
wide open. If there is a deck archetype that you enjoy, odds are that you can probably play it. And we're going to see some awesome games coming up because we got round 3 right around the corner.
Round 3 is coming up. I think we're ready to hand it over to our round 3 commentary team. So enjoy round 3 out there. This is the booth here at Netrunner 2024 Worlds, and have a great round.